Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Vampire Coast led by Outer Region, facing off against the Warriors of Chaos, who shall be helmed by Butcher Bird here on Chateau de Roquefort. And this is the semifinals of a tournament, so I was having some serious internet issues the other day. And unfortunately, we didn't get to do the stream, but this was the semifinal of that tournament. And of course, we will have the final when that becomes available. So as far as the build goes for the coastline here, it's going to be Outer Region rocking a whole bunch of zombie deckhand mobs backed up by halberds and bombers. Makes sense, right? You got the chaff in the front, bombers to kill the infantry, and the two giant crabs to really be your carry pieces, essentially. Because the zombies, I mean, they can carry, sort of. I mean, you know, I guess numbers is numbers, and they can target objectives. You typically, with Coast, need something big and hard-hitting. In this case, it's going to be crabs. You'll see Mourngulls. Sometimes you'll see, like, deck gunner type builds, cannons, whatever. Like, something to do the heavy lifting, right? These are, like, your core pieces, and then these are, like, your, you know, your carries. So, looking at the Chaos build, super cool. Warriors of Chaos are definitely my favorite faction to play in competitive, and this is a wild one, and I'm loving it. We got Forsaken to the front. Now, Forsaken on paper, pretty good in domination mode. They do have 46 speed, so they can maneuver between objectives very well. Great shock damage. They're kind of like, you know, Cav in a way, with their huge charge bonus of 40. Now, they're going to be very weak against, like, Mourngulls, Animated Hulks, potentially getting attacked by the Crabs and Bomber mobs, but man, oh man, if they're left to their own devices on, like, deckhand mobs, and, you know, scurvy dogs, whatever, they're going to tear those things to shreds. I'm also a huge enjoyer of Aspiring Champions in a matchup where you're going to be running into ethereal units. Having just a dedicated magic damage infantry unit to keep them honest is very good. Sigvald has always been pretty popular here. He's very good against gunline factions. He's just tough to kill, sticky. Crabs can beat him up for sure, but I'm really curious to see what's going to protect him. We got a Burning Headcaster and the Giga Chad Rotting Riders. I love this. So these are the ROR Rot Knights. I'm really curious to see their applications. Now, if this was like gunline coast with like handguns and cannons or deck gunners, it'd probably be a really bad time for them. But on this map, there's a lot of weird elevations that make gunline builds very hard. So having awareness of the maps is very important to being a high-level competitive player. Chaos Chariots in the back, as well as Hellstriders coming in. Hellstriders are pretty much the auto take for Warriors of Chaos in their mark category. You're always going to see at least two in pretty much every single matchup except maybe Dwarves. But even then, you might see the Hellscourge variant, right? Advancing up with the Rotting Riders. Looking super cool, like they want to do battle versus the crabs, but probably not here, not with the Salt Lord Scuttlers sitting nearby. That's going to be a little bit dodgy. Now, how are the Warriors of Chaos going to be dealing with the Salt Lord Scuttlers? Are they going to call in some Marauder Horsemen? We're not seeing the very, you know, typical meta, which is like double or triple Horsemen opening up and grabbing objectives. But, you know, there is sometimes if you go double or triple Horsemen, this has been something I've been noticing a lot. You will get the objectives quicker, but then you just lose them very quickly to like a wider, more, you know, pressure heavy build. So especially on a map like this where you don't have a home objective, which is very safe. I think maps with a home objective, skirmisher builds are a little bit safer because you can harass and pressure their back objective and things like that very quickly. But, you know, on this map, maybe not as much. But the bombs do some big damage. We do see the Forsaken get their armor sundered, and these bad boys are going to get wrecked pretty badly by the old bomber bats if they don't move in and engage. And it looks like that's going to be the play. Just going full Unga Bunga, going to be charging into some of the zombies, but they'll die really quick. The bomber bats will, of course, sunder their armor, and then the bombers in the secondary from Outer Region are going to be doing some huge damage as well. So do they have their sights set? A bit of a misclick. He doesn't actually get the bombing salvo in play right away, and that allows the Forsaken to get a really nice shock charge there. Meanwhile, on this side, it's going to be a massacre. Marauders will crush these guys. In Forsaken, they have, you know, 63 weapon strength to pop, so they're going to be able to tear apart these deckhand mobs very quickly. Granted, the bomber mobs are doing a lot of damage to them as well. So into the secondary, we do see the Hellstriders moving in. They do get on top of some of the bombers, and now we see some Chaos Chariots, which is very cool. Chaos Chariots going to be rolling through the handgun mobs, and Mourngulls are nearby, though, so the Mourngulls may be able to intercept them and shut them down. And the big Crabbo does also get back here and do some substantial damage. So both sides trading well, right? We see the Hellstriders getting crushed here. I was looking for my arrow tool. Let's get rid of that. I was looking for the arrow, yes. But the Hellstriders, you know, get crushed a little bit. Chariots get beaten up. But aside from that, we do see the Forsaken ripping through the front line here. Front line lost here. These ones probably going to get burning headed. The Forsaken getting shredded pretty bad on this side. The objective was under the control of the Warriors of Chaos, but could potentially flip to the Vampire Coast here, as we do have two zombies, which is 10 capture weight against some Marauders, which is probably about 4 right now. Bombers on the air, bombers on the ground. Nasty damage right there. The objective being held by Warriors of Chaos here, and on the other side, it looks like the Warriors do have this one in their clutches as well, but the Vampire Coast zombies, of course, threatening. Hellstrider's going to come into the rear charge, should be pretty nice. And the Rotting Riders have gotten a big monster fight, so they actually fought Solastra's Ghosts, which have 100% AP, by the way, and were able to put some decent work in on the big Crabbo, and are now retreating. So here we can see they have 27 of their 32 models. I don't hate the Rot Knights in this matchup, like on this map. where guns have serious issues. Like this little hill elevation right here, if you look, like if this gun unit wanted to shoot the Rot Knights, they're going to have to walk like all the way up that hill, right? So this map is a little bit treacherous for gun units. Typically bows will do well, but Ghost obviously doesn't have that, right? So Bomb saturating it on Sigvald, but Aspiring Champions are just so god tier in this matchup. The countering of Sirens, being very strong against bomber mobs, and holding their own against things like Animated Hulks and Morghuls. Now we do see Slaughter coming up here. It's kind of the danger zone a little bit. The Rot Knights, of course, have some support. Granted, there are some halberds on the ground for the Vampire Coast, but they will be dissipating here rather quickly. Sigvald trying to shut down the gun so they don't melt the Rot Knights there. And that's going to be a sweet burning head. That is a juicy one right there. Going right down the pipe, ladies and gentlemen, cooking a lot of the zombies. And it will tickle the crab, but no, it actually doesn't look like it made contact with the crab, but it tried its best. Now on the outside, we do see outer region control this objective, so the zombie pirate mobs able to get the job done here. Looks like some Marauders are going to be on their way over for the Warriors of Chaos, and for the Vampire Coast, they're calling out just cheap gunnery mobs and doing the best they can here. But these Rot Knights still hanging in there. I love to see them in action, and I hope they get close to paying for themselves. I always like to see them. On this side, pretty dominant victory, it would appear, for the Forces of Chaos. The Forsaken were able to endure the bomber mobs, and they got some reinforcements from the Hellstriders. The Hellstriders are so freaking good. That fast of a unit getting out there, man, just doing the work. They can intercept Morghuls, they can intercept so many other big targets, and such a good unit. But yeah, victory for the Warriors of Chaos on Objective 3. Objective 2 is pretty heavily contested, and we do see Outer Region making a really nice play, actually, on the Chaos Sorcerer. So the Sorcerer here is getting Crabbo slapped, and Slostra, definitely, I mean, the crabs in general against infantry-sized characters can do some really, really solid DPS, and it looks like this guy is going to get killed and or broken. Sigvald trying his best on the Rot Knights. I believe we're forced back, so let's see if we can find those Rot Knights right now. We do see them in the secondary, and the Rot Knights able to tear apart these Morghuls. Man, I thought the Morghuls would actually do a little bit more damage, but yeah, these Rot Knights, they regenerate, they have anti-large, they do have the Blessing of the Fly Lord, which gives them ward save as long as their leadership, as long as they don't break. So I don't know if they've broken, but we can actually check. So we could look. No, they have the Blessing still. So they do have the ward save and the regeneration, making them super stalwart. Over here on the far side, Warriors of Chaos do arrive. And this is where Vampire Coast can start to run into problems when their initial bomber salvos run out. And the Warriors of Chaos are still there and grinding. And Chaos Warrior Infantry are very tough for Deckhand mobs to even touch. Their high melee defense in tandem with the armor is just tough. And now Aspiring Champions are going to be here too. This objective probably will flip to the Warriors of Chaos. So even though Outer Region maybe has a slight value lead, this game is actually quite close. And there is some healing on Chaos via the Rot Knights as well as Sigvald, right? And I don't know if there's a lot of healing on the Vampire Coast. I think I've seen a little bit, but not too much. So overall, I would say Warriors of Chaos are probably ahead here in this game. Rot Knights getting a giga charge here into the side of the zombie pirate gunnery mobs. Now going to be moving across under the Sirens, and apparently they do magic damage too, which is pretty big. So that will be very nice against Sirens. However, they don't want to stay here. Sirens are going to be returning the favor. They have huge armor-piercing values, and yeah, you're going to want to see the Rot Knights get the heck out of here. 2,000 value on those. They're going to be sweeping on back. Looking at Objective 2, we do see Warriors of Chaos holding that one down. Objective 3 belongs to the Warriors of Chaos as well. And as we talked about earlier, the Aspiring Champions just coming over here with the Warriors, and I really like Chaos Warriors. It's like a 750 gold unit. These things are just incredibly solid. Very, very good. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Like in Warhammer the Old World, which is the tabletop game, one of the big issues is like how infantry are just kind of bad, right? Because there's no objectives in Old World, it's just fighting. So people typically in Old World are just going to be, abusing single entities like dragons and things like that, right? It would be kind of a cool thing. I wouldn't hate them adding objectives to Warhammer Fantasy Battles, or at least like add some missions so players could have the option to play that if they want to. I think that'd be very nice for like matched play, competitive play, that type of thing, right? Some more Hellstriders coming out. Middle objective is in the process of flipping, but Warriors of Chaos do have a value lead, as well as a pretty substantial objective lead, and a very dominant victory here on this side. We do see pistol mobs coming in, but they're just going to be sheep to the slaughter. These Aspiring Champions are going to massacre these things, and they're going to go kill these, and they're going to go kill these. And we do also see the Hellstriders coming in once again. Anti-large variant is the way to go. They're not super good against infantry, but against like deckhand mobs who have 6 melee defense, it doesn't really matter. You don't really need a whole lot, right? They can get in there and fight it. Aspiring Champions arrive to the middle. We do see a Tide Call from Celostra drop there. But Sigvald, he's so hot right now, man. He's hanging in there. He's an absolute champ, and we do see the big champions moving in. And the wacky inflatable arm guys are a good counter to them. The Morghuls can definitely kill Aspiring Champions pretty effectively, as can the crabs. But what I suspect is going to happen is Outer Region's going to struggle, even though he might have these big scary SEs that Chaos doesn't have the tools to deal with. He's not going to be able to just unga-bunga around the objectives, and that's the same thing that I would like to see in Old World. Like, if somebody brings a dragon, they should give it battlefield agency in the sense that, like, infantry can actually have a purpose. Because as of now, infantry in Old World, especially elite infantry, are such trash. Although basic infantry, like skeletons and, like, infantry that come in high numbers and are cheap and cost-effective for what they are, like Tar Pit infantry, are very good, but not very good, but are somewhat viable in some matchups, I should say. Be kind of a cool one for Old World 2. Forsaken do arrive, and they start to flip the objective. Aspiring Champions still fighting. We do see the Sirens and the Mourngulls doing their best to whittle through these Aspiring Champion infantry, but that's going to be tough, especially with Sigvald there. We do see the Rot Knights as well, so the Rotting Riders, they're still there. They did lose the Blessing of the Fly Lord, as we see more Chaos Chariots being called out. Very, very effective against these zombies for sure, and we'll try and get a look at that charge there. On the other side, complete massacre for the Vampire Coast. This is clearly a situation where the Warriors of Chaos can just win on one objective, right? So as long as they just play it smart and, ping pong these big crabs, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. So the Rotting Riders get in there. Chariot charges, it's going to be blunted a little bit by the Rotting Riders, so they might get a charge in there, but their charges are going to be blocked to an extent. No, they still get in and do some okay damage. Would have been better if the Rotting Riders weren't in the way, but now they're going to be surging across, getting a nice charge, and, zombies are very vulnerable against these type of things. So here they come, and they have a lot of armor, going to be able to block up those zombies for quite some time, and you can see the zombies are just whittling down HP, and with cycle charging, they'll do even more damage. On the middle, we do see Vampire Coast Crabs trying to get through Sigvald, but it does not look like that's going to be the case. On the outside, basically just being farmed, right? Although Mourngulls do arrive, and Mourngulls are okay against a couple of these units. Aspiring Champions and the Hellstriders, though, might be able to win against the Mourngulls. And I would imagine there's going to be some reinforcements coming in soon. Yes, more Forsaken. And here the zombies are just going to be cut to pieces, right? The Chariots and the arriving Forsaken. Forsaken are really good in Dom. I think they're super slept on. I don't know about Forsaken for the marked gods. They're a little pricier, right? But the Forsaken of Chaos Undivided I think they're only like 700 and 750 or something. For what they do, it's an absolute deal. A little bit on the squishier side for sure, but they make up for it in their damage, 100%. So Out of Region starts to flip this objective. Over here, we do see one of the crabs coming over, going to be trying to break the position. The Hellstriders, though, do get an isolated fight versus the Mourngulls, which is pretty cost-effective for them, and it looks like maybe they're going to come across and try and engage against Celestra. Ultimately, maybe just maneuver to the other side as well. Are they going to be able to get this? The Aspiring Champions are holding back most of the capture weight. Celestra doesn't have a ton of capture weight. As an SE, she has 3. The Mourngulls are going to have 3. The Warriors will have 5, and the Hellstriders should have 4, when they're at full health, of course. When they're damaged, they do lose some of the capabilities there. And now we do see Out of Region starting to wrestle this objective, but I think that the Chariots and the Hellstriders are going to get rid of that. Yes, they do. We do see this start to go back to the Warriors of Chaos and Butcherbird here as the Forsaken nibble through the zombie pirate deck-end mobs. And it is looking like a pretty chaos game here. Vampire Coast has put up a great fight. It's been actually a really close game, with value at least, but I do think that Chaos is ahead because they actually have considerably more healing than the Vampire Coast does, although the Mourngulls maybe make up for that a little bit. But these guys are going to be holding it down. Out of Region is going to be making attempts, but I think that Warriors of Chaos are going to be able to just spam things to Objective 3, including their Hellstriders, and it should be enough for them. Sigvald is also still threatening the middle, right? So that's tough. We've got Aspiring Champions coming back, and the Rotting Giga Chads have arrived once more. These guys at 108 kills, probably not insane value. Let's check. Oh, wow, 3,200 value. They made me eat my words. I was like, I was going to guess like 1,800, 2,000, but that was a lot more than I expected. And yeah, this objective is going to start flipping now as well. That's just going to be the nail in the coffin here, probably for the old Vampire Coast. So GG, well played. This is a really, really nice match. And shout out to both players, to Out of Region as well as Butcherbird, for an amazing Warriors of Chaos performance. Definitely different than I would have played it. But, I mean, he made it work. I mean, I guess the one thing I might have changed, I like the Sigvald and Firecaster. I would have probably been more heavy on the Aspiring Champions, like several of them. But, dude, I mean, he made those Rot Knights put in work, and it probably won him the game, honestly. Reinforcements are really good. Solid stuff. Hellstriders. The Chariots are also something I don't play with enough, probably. They were pretty good against the zombie spam at the end game there. So that was really cool. Definitely a little bit of a different take, and I love to see it. And yeah, the double Crabbo Stabbo's good. 69 blessed kills on this crab, beautiful, and 3,300 value on that crab lady too. So that was pretty mean, man. GG, well played. Both players played great. Just came down to the objective play and the value trading a little bit, which favored Chaos. And that was all she wrote. All right, guys, we'll see you on the other side. Take care of yourselves, and may the dark gods bless you.